It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
From the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Blah, 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 blah. Whenever you're listening, whenever you're watching, we hope you're doing A-OK. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in the state of Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. We'll give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's to get a slice of pizza. Well, I eat more than that, but anyway. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book. That's right, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of it right now while you're watching or listening to the show. Just go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. If you want a signed copy, visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the book. You can't miss it. Read this book. You'll love it. It's the story of Tom Molyneux. He was born a slave, didn't even want to fight, was forced into fighting, and was robbed. You know, worse than Manny Pacquiao was robbed recently, way worse. And my issue with this book is really to get history rewritten a little bit. The history books are correct, but we don't give this man the credit he deserves. He was the first American heavyweight champion, and he was the first fighter that fought in the first world heavyweight championship fight, and for all intent and purposes won. He should be labeled as the first world heavyweight champion 100 years before Jack Johnson. Not only was this a story of American heavyweights, it was also a boxing historical story, and it's also a story of Black American history. So it's a must-read. Check it out and get a copy today. Today's show. You know, you just listen. I had a quote from Manny Pacquiao, and it goes like this. He cried all the way back to the Philippines, complaining about being set up by Bob Arum and everything else. Now, first of all, I want to start off by saying this. You know, I got a lot of comments on the show that people watch on YouTube, and we appreciate the YouTube boxing community, and we've been slowly building up a following on YouTube. You know, we primarily for the last decade have been focusing on television and radio, and for about the last year and a half or so, we've kind of really made an effort to make a presence on YouTube. And, you know, I couldn't believe I haven't have been noticing some of the comments made on yesterday's show, against me and people thinking that Manny Pacquiao was robbed, that Teddy Atlas was right. And they even take it a step further and say that, I've become a Mayweather fan and he beat Mayweather and all that stuff. Whoa. Slow it down. First of all, I'm a huge Manny Pacquiao fan. The guy, I said yesterday, people that comment on a show because of the title that gets put on it and don't actually listen to the show, You guys are ignorant. Ignorant. You know what I'm saying? The truth of the matter is listen to the show. I never once wasn't giving Manny Pacquiao credit. As a matter of fact, I said that Manny Pacquiao on my all-time great list, when Manny finally packs it in, is going to sit higher than Floyd Mayweather, despite losing to Floyd. And the reasons I gave were because of the excitement levels he brings to the ring, and still brings, his heart and determination, and the fact that he's challenged himself throughout his career. Those weigh more on me than just a boring fight with Floyd Mayweather. Now, with that said, I'm not going to not give Floyd Mayweather credit for beating Manny, because he beat him. I mean, let's be real. Now, as far as the fight against Jeff Horn, my scorecard had Manny Pacquiao winning the fight. I felt that Manny won the fight. The difference is it wasn't a robbery, because my scorecard said 115, 113. That's a close fight. Some of the rounds were close. Some of the rounds could have gone either way. I did criticize the judge that scored it 117, 111, but give me a break. I mean, and my point about Manny Pacquiao is he's got nothing left to prove. That's an accolade. I'm not criticizing him. He's 38 years old. He's got a political career ahead of him. He's a young man. He's done everything he could possibly do in boxing. He's accomplished more than people even dream of in the sport of boxing. And my point is, what's he got left to prove? It's not going to diminish his legacy, to have him keep fighting on and on and on and on. He's got nothing left to prove. My point is that now is a good time for him to hang it up. Now, as far as him being, set up, he's got a good point there. Joining me right now from St. Simon's Island is my man, Sal Rocky Senecola. What up, Sal?
What up? Good morning, Billy C. How are you today?
I'm not too bad. I'm a little riled up because
I'm riled up now too. I'm reading about Pacquiao being set up. I just got set up with my cup of coffee.
My point, Sal, is I'm just sick of people that make a comment without any basis. You go by, because I said yesterday that I felt that Manny Pacquiao has nothing left to prove, and he's not the same fighter. He's not the same fighter. He's not. When athletes age, they become a different athlete. They're using their mind and experience over their athletic ability because it's starting to fade. It's a natural progression in life. And now, I'm being criticized because people want to see him continue. Oh, he should fight till he's 40. Oh, he should do that. Why? What's he got left to prove, Sal?
Well, Bill, that was my whole dissertation, my whole example. I was trying to say from day one, whenever there was talk about Manny Pacquiao fighting any lesser of an opponent than Floyd Mayweather, because I felt, like I've said, this guy's been to the mountain and back. He's stellar. He's a Hall of Famer. He's phenomenal. He's a legend. And to continue, and I said this, to continue to just wind up being fodder or a stepping stone for some young buck is not really the way that Manny Pacquiao would like to choose to see his career go. And unfortunately, it looks like that's exactly what has just happened before our very eyes. Manny Pacquiao is a world-class, world opponent, that world champion. And he'll always be a world champion in his fans' eyes and in the history books. And the challenges that lie ahead, are they really going to be worth? I always use that equation. Is the prize worth the price? Ladies and gentlemen, there are things that happen to the human body as you age and you continue to take blows to the head and a beating. And sometimes those damages may result in things that if you had but the end result of losing your faculty, about the first, I think they were in diapers by the time they were in their late 40s, and they had to get wheeled around in a chair. These were lesser known fighters that you didn't hear all the progression of the disease from taking too many shots to the head would wind up leaving you in a state of waiting to just deteriorate in front of everyone that loves you, and then wind up having your whole internal body system shut down because the brain tissue has atrophied. It's shrunk. The caverns in your head had opened up wide. The dark shadows now, when you take an MRI imaging screen, are no longer visible as a healthy brain. It looks like a piece of muck. And I've seen that on fighters. And it's alarming. It's disgusting. And that's why when the doctor told me, and when I was 26, Sal, you got a really great decision here. You know, you won this fight. You're a ranked contender now. But do yourself a favor. If you want to play with your grandkids one day, if you want to climb other mountains, do yourself a favor and retire by the time you're 28 years of age. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to look at it because boxing was my life, my wife, and everything else. But I thank God today that my father tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, Sal, you're 28. Maybe it's time to think about things." And I walked away from the game I loved. And I'd still be fighting today. You know me. I love boxing. I would die in a ring. I would. But, you know, I've got kids. I got family. I got business. I got other things. I got other challenges. I got other loves. And I realized at that time the prize was no longer worth the price. I don't want to be pushed around in a wheelchair. I don't want to wear diapers when I'm 50. And I'm already 50. Whoa. And so the prize no longer became the price. I just looked at things differently. But when I came back a couple of years ago, I wanted a taste of fire again. I wanted to put my tongue to the fire, and I had to. And God protected me, and I'm glad I did. It worked out all right. But I can go on and on, Billy. You know, there's some things that I could talk about one day. I don't know if today's the day. This day may never come. But anyway, that's my dissertation on that. That's my thought on that. I love Manny Pacquiao. I'm a fan of Manny Pacquiao. And there was nothing more that I'd like to see. Even though the night of his original fight against Floyd Mayweather, I said I'll never pay for a rematch. I would have loved to have seen him just come back to do what he wanted to do and what he said he would do, to get better, use that shoulder with no excuses, come back against Floyd Mayweather and let them fight. But that never happened, and guess what? It'll never happen now.
You know, I never once did I suggest that Manny Pacquiao is starting to fade in terms of the more serious side of knowing when to say when, as you point out.
No.
He's not slurring his words. As a matter of fact,
no.
He's a successful.
But that will happen in years from now if he stayed around too long. We don't know that.
That's not a guarantee. I mean, listen,
no,
you and I have had you and I have had the discussion. Guys like look at Jake LaMotta, in his 90s.
They're predisposed. I think they're predestined for that.
And let's be real. I mean, people
in their body that could take that punishment.
Well, people
can do it.
Well,
other people don't.
People can end up with dementia, never taking a punch in their life, and
yes.
They have connected, Parkinson with people that are susceptible to Parkinson disease, whether they take a punch or not. If they are already susceptible to it, and then they choose to become a boxer. And then that what we used to call pugilistic dementia starts to fall in. They've actually labeled that because the scientific they've been able to connect it to called Parkinsonism disease, and that's the beginning of it. And although many people blame Muhammad Ali's Parkinson disease that he ended up having on the wars that he had inside the ring. We can't put our finger and say that that's the truth. What we could say is that it might have brought it on and made it, taken it to the level it was. We don't know. But my point about Manny Pacquiao is that, and I'm not knocking the guy because I'm a fan. I think that Manny Pacquiao is good for the sport of boxing and was great and is an all-time great and has a legacy that we may never see again. But now, when you look at the Manny Pacquiao of today, he's not the same fighter as we talked about yesterday. Clearly not the same fighter. We got to take a break. Hold that thought, Sal, because I want to put it to rest once and for all. So hold that thought.
Just clarify.
We are going to take a short break, and we will be back in two.
Billy C will be right back.
currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. And we're still talking about Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao, and his loss this past Saturday. And the truth of the matter is Manny Pacquiao, I felt, won the fight. I don't think that he dominated the fight like Teddy Atlas would suggest. But I think he did win. I thought it was a close fight. The Mayweather. Listen, what I see over this whole Manny Pacquiao, his career, so to speak, and Floyd Mayweather was that they were parallel. They were on a collision course for a long time, and during that time, Floyd Mayweather ducked Manny Pacquiao. I mean, listen, it is what it is. He did. He waited until he felt that the time was right, and he chose the right time. Now, what had also happened during that time was that you had diehard Mayweather fans and diehard Pacquiao fans. They were similar to Yankee and Red Sox fans. They hate each other, but they're the same kind of fan. In other words, the Mayweather fans love Mayweather. He could do no wrong. And everything that Manny Pacquiao has done is a fraud. It's no good. It's this, it's that. This is to the Mayweather fans. They never want to give Pacquiao credit. When you look at the Pacquiao fans, they say the same thing about Mayweather. They say everything Mayweather did was a fraud. They don't want to give him any credit. They even go as far to suggest that Pacquiao beat Mayweather when the two fought. No one wanted to see Manny Pacquiao beat the snot out of Floyd Mayweather more than me.
I want to see
and maybe Sal. But let me tell you the truth.
But Mayweather was a master.
Mayweather won the fight.
He won the fight. He beat Pacquiao.
And there's no way. There's no way that you can convince me. Now, I got ticked off at Pacquiao because he didn't give Floyd the credit that Floyd deserved. We'll never know if Floyd. I have always said to this day that if Floyd Mayweather had challenged himself and lost the fight, that there would be excuses from here to the moon and back 5 times because Floyd is like that. He's a punk. But, Manny Pacquiao has been acting like that. And after this fight with Jeff Horn, he seemed gracious, and now the excuses. But I will say this, Sal. I will say this. The fact that Manny Pacquiao is saying that he feels he was set up has some concrete. It has some substance. I believe that Bob Arum was in a win-win situation because now he can have the rematch, still make a ton of money. If Manny wins the fight, he can go on to set Manny up to fight Terrence Crawford. Bob Arum is in a great position. If Manny Pacquiao had beaten Jeff Horn, he maybe only gets one more big fight out of Manny, and that's the Terrence Crawford fight. So I don't know. I think it's let me tell you this. Well, what's your thoughts? Do you think that this could have been set up?
I don't know if it could have been set up intentionally. Like, hey, judges, we got to look at things through a prism a little bit here. I'll tell you, I looked at that fight 3 times, and as I said, the first time when I saw the wide margin of one of the judges, I said, I got to look at this. And I looked at the fight for a second time, and I scored every round as if they were 3 individual 1-minute rounds. And whoever had 2 of the 3 minutes, I would give the round to. And it worked out where even after that prism, even after that view, I did give Manny Pacquiao the fight by 1 point. 1 point. So, yes, I did see. But it also opened up another can of worms for me, saying, well, if this could be this close, and I'm looking, and I was pulling for Manny, it's an easy toss to see how maybe the judges could have seen it from Jeff Horn's corner. And, Horn was aggressive. He moved forward. He threw punches and bunches. And Manny just didn't look as effective. I think people were a little more stunned or bewildered or shocked to see Jeff Horn do as well offensively as he actually did. So, in a judge's mind, maybe that made more of an impression. And Manny didn't look like he was connecting solid punches when he countered or at times. He looked like he had a lunge to get into Jeff Horn. He looked like he had there wasn't that body attack. There wasn't the Manny using the finesse and coming in and hurting his opponent repeatedly. So I saw a fight trying to be objective. Believe me, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted Manny Pacquiao to win. I didn't think it was going to be a fight. To tell you the truth, I called this fight. I said, Manny Pacquiao this guy's never going to see Manny Pacquiao past the 8th round. I figured this guy's fighting in his backyard. This guy's always fought in his backyard. How great is the backyard talent? And the guy rose to the occasion. Do I think he's going to beat a top world champion that he's got to face now, a Keith Thurman? No, I don't. I don't think he will. But I also don't think Manny Pacquiao will either.
Well, that's, listen.
Okay.
That's a whole nother ball.
That's a whole nother
It's a whole nother ball game. And the truth of the matter is that Manny Pacquiao is clearly not. He's not the same fighter. You could love him. You could be the biggest fan or whatever. He's not the same fighter. If he was the same fighter, Jeff Horn doesn't last 4 rounds with Manny Pacquiao. And you could see Manny Pacquiao just didn't have the hand speed. Listen, a guy like Manny Pacquiao, who devastated opponents with his hand speed. Not as everybody's always a knockout punch. No, he knocked out fighters because they never saw punches coming. Because they came from lots of them came and from all different angles. You go to block from one way, and you got 3 more coming from some other place. And early in his career, when you watch Manny Pacquiao, you're like, how does he throw those punches? Where did they come from? And he's lost that. It's like a fighter that had great legs, great movement, all of a sudden can't move anymore. Now he's a stationary target, and they lose it. It's the same thing. But back to the topic, which is there a possibility that Bob Arum might have went into this fight, knowing that Jeff Horn was going to win as long as he finished on his feet. And here's some quotes from Bob Arum, because Bob Arum, at the end of the fight, thought that, he says, I thought Manny won, but it wasn't a robbery. He's carried it a little further. He says, you had 40,000 Australian fans and 15,000 Filipinos fans in the stadium. He said every time Horn landed a punch, the Australian fans were all screaming. When Manny landed a punch, there was virtual silence. If you were a judge, of course you'd be influenced. You're only human. But if you think they were dishonest, I wouldn't agree. As for the performance of referee Mark Nelson, both guys were doing things. There were a lot of holding by Manny and Jeff. Now, first of all, how Mark Nelson got the assignment is beyond me. He's one of the worst referees I've ever seen, let alone get an assignment like this. So a red flag goes up, in my opinion, there. The second thing that goes up with this statement is every referee you talk to, and trust me, I've talked to a lot, and also judges, every judge you talk to, and I've talked to a lot, including Larry Hazard that comes on this show on a weekly basis.
Not too many better than
None
Larry.
of them will admit that the crowd noise will affect their, either judging or refereeing a fight. None of them will admit. Now, do I think that human nature has a tendency to influence a judge or not? I believe so. I do. But no judge will admit that. So for a promoter, especially Bob Arum, to come out and suggest that is ridiculous. And then when you add to the fact of his statement that the Filipino crowd was silent when Manny was... Are you kidding me? Was he watching the same fight? I saw and heard lots of cheers when both fighters landed punches. It just was that it seemed that when Jeff Horn was moving forward and landing punches, his punches had more pop behind them. They were 1/3 less.
They did. They did.
He was a bigger fighter and everything else.
He was a bigger fighter. He landed it.
But I do think that Bob Arum and Top Rank benefit from a loss by Manny Pacquiao, especially a loss like this, where Manny Pacquiao is saying to himself, what, are you kidding me? I want to prove I'm better than Jeff Horn. I want a rematch. Now, Bob Arum gets the rematch, and then it's the same scenario that happened last time. He gets a rematch with Bradley. He wins. Then he wants to go for a title. He wins, puts him in the fight in the position for Jeff Horn. Well, look at what would happen here. Jeff Horn beats him. He loses his title. Now he goes back. He fights Jeff Horn, wins his title back. You would think he would retire, but no. He's going to say, see, I was robbed in the first one. I still got it. What's next? Bob Arum says, Terrence Crawford's next. So, I mean, it's not a good scenario, Sal.
Thinking along those lines and actually seeing how it could evolve and materialize in that scenario, I just don't think that would have been the route or the picture that Bob Arum would have designed from the get-go.
Why?
Why?
Look, it's about money. It's about money, Sal. Look at how much money he makes. Why wouldn't he think that?
Well, the truth of the matter is, where does Manny go after he beats Jeff Horn? All right, there's more stellar fights for him that is still available.
Sal, you're not thinking like Bob Arum. The only fights that Bob Arum are thinking about are guys that he's a promoter for.
That's what I'm saying. Terrence Crawford.
Right. So if
it would have been a natural path and layup to have Manny fight Terrence
if he won.
Yes.
Okay, but if he loses and Manny Pacquiao wants to avenge the loss, Bob Arum, instead of getting 2 fights out of Manny, he gets 3.
Well, it's. I think it's a long shot, Bill. It could be. I can't tell you. I'm not privy to that type of dark room discussion. But the bottom line is, I just see Bob Arum winning in any scenario. as Manny's promoter and as Terrence Crawford's promoter. And to possibly see the scenario that there's going to be a rematch, I don't know. I think Jeff Horn beats Manny in a rematch. And I don't know. I don't know if we're going to find out. In fact,
well, hold that thought.
It's that Manny's going to have a fight.
Hold that thought. It's that time again. I got to take a break. Don't lose that thought. You got it. You got it. We'll be back in, guess what? 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And we're still talking about Pacquiao and Jeff Horn. You know, I keep saying nobody's a bigger fan of Manny Pacquiao and what he's accomplished inside the ring than myself. He was exciting, and he still is exciting. Whether you thought he won or not on Saturday, it was an exciting fight. It was worthwhile watching. And ESPN and everyone that ESPN made out great, and everyone that watched it was benefited from an exciting fight. People are still talking about the outcome, and Manny Pacquiao is starting with the complaining about feeling that the fight was set up, and I believe he's got a leg to stand on, because like we were talking about before we went to break, Bob Arum, when you put your promoter hat on. We all know that Manny Pacquiao's fight career is on the downswing. It's coming to a close. Whether you Pacquiao fans want to accept it or not, it's coming to a close. So when you look at the money aspect, and that's all Bob Arum looks at, you say to yourself, okay, what's Manny going to do? If he beats Jeff Horn, he's going to do one of two things: try to get a rematch with Floyd, or possibly retire, or maybe fight Terrence Crawford. So if you're Bob Arum, and you got the calculator out, you say to yourself, well, if he gets the rematch with Floyd, everybody makes a ton of money, and whether Manny wins or loses, Bob Arum's happy with closing the cash cow with that fight. Right? Now, if Manny Pacquiao loses to Horn, Bob Arum says to himself, okay, well, he's not going to get the Mayweather fight because he had to win to get the Mayweather fight. So what's left for Manny? Well, if he got robbed, like a lot of people feel he did, or if he loses a close fight, Bob Arum is banking on Manny Pacquiao's own competitiveness and, inability to accept defeat, especially the way it was handed to him on Saturday. Bob Arum knew that Manny Pacquiao would exercise the rematch clause that was in the contract. So Bob Arum says, okay, so I'm making my money from the first fight. I'll get the rematch. If Manny loses, okay, it's over for Manny. But at least I got 2 paydays out of it, right? If Manny wins, whoa, that opens up the door for Bob Arum to have another fight with Manny, most likely against Terrence Crawford. And if Floyd Mayweather should come around and say, okay, I'll fight him, then great. So I think Bob Arum is in a win-win situation when Manny lost. And that's why I think, Sal, that Manny Pacquiao has a leg to stand on with the theory that Bob Arum kind of hoped he lost and put the right people in place to make sure he lost. I'm not opposed to believing that, to be honest with you.
All right. No, you break it down. You explain it in a sensible, rational way. I just don't know if that calculated scenario, there's too many variables that Bob Arum would have to anticipate happening if this scenario unfolded as it is right now. There's too many variables that he'd have to count on. What's left in Manny Pacquiao's heart to fight? What's going to be happening? What's the likelihood of him getting back in a ring with Jeff Horn? In other words, if he had beaten Jeff Horn, it's a natural progression. All right, we either go for Mayweather, or we go for Terrence Crawford, or we do something else.
Retire.
It's a gimme. It's done. It's signed, sealed. It's going to be delivered because Manny has the fuel for the fire. He's going to do it. Now we're looking at Manny possibly having one more fight, and that's the variable, possibly having one more fight against Jeff Horn to get the rematch. And then from there, we still know possibly what does he want to do next. So there's too many possible scenarios and too many things that are going to be variables along this progressive path that you might be suggesting, versus if Manny Pacquiao just won that fight, there would be a natural progression on who he's going to face next. Is it going to be a Floyd Mayweather after Conor McGregor, or is it going to be Terrence Crawford, or is it going to be a Keith Thurman? If it's a Terrence Crawford, that's a win-win for Bob Arum. So there are scenarios.
Listen. I don't mean
Talk
to
to me.
interrupt you, but listen.
No,
If
interrupt
Manny
me.
Pacquiao
Okay,
if Manny Pacquiao wins the fight against Jeff
Yeah.
Horn,
Yeah.
if the only fight that matters to Manny Pacquiao after that is Mayweather, if he even does, I can't think that Manny Pacquiao, should he have won the fight, which we all thought he was gonna, say to himself, well, now I want to go after Keith Thurman. Now, no. The only guy that benefited from Manny Pacquiao losing to Jeff Horn is Bob Arum. Bob Arum is the only guy that benefited from it because he's prolonged the money aspect for him. Like you've said, and I'm gonna pull a word out of a quote out of your own mouth. You said that Chicky Ferrara said to you many times, Sal, we're all bad. Here's a great example where you should listen to what Chicky Ferrara told you, because that's what Bob Arum.
The promoters, the managers,
Bob Arum,
trainers, they're there forever.
You think Bob Arum gives a rat's ass about Manny Pacquiao at this stage? No. He cared about Manny Pacquiao when Manny Pacquiao was in his prime and Manny Pacquiao was ripping people's heads off. Now he knows, let me get the maximum out of Manny Pacquiao. And that's what he's trying to do. The best way for him to get the maximum dollars out of Manny Pacquiao is to have Manny Pacquiao lose a close fight and want to fight again. Because if Manny Pacquiao fought and beat Jeff Horn like everyone expected him to, Manny Pacquiao could have ridden off into the sunset, never to fight again. He would have won a title, he would have defended the title, and he would have been able to walk away. That dream of ending his career on top was shattered on Saturday night. Now, whether he accepts walking away as it stands or not remains to be seen. I think that Bob Arum has read Manny Pacquiao like a book, and he knows damn well that Manny Pacquiao is not going to be able to settle for the way that outcome turned, and he's going to demand the rematch as per the rematch clause. And then that keeps the door open for Bob Arum to keep sucking blood and money out of Manny Pacquiao. I'm sorry. I've never really went down that route because I myself have been a licensed promoter and still promote fights and don't want, every promoter to be blanketed in with that type of attitude. But it's the fact. Bob Arum might have been lying yesterday, but I think he's lying again today. It was not a fair fight in terms of the judges, nor was it fair with Mark Nelson because he's a terrible referee. And to be honest with you, what's he talking about? Manny and both Jeff Horn were holding each other. I don't know. When they were in clinches, were they both holding? I mean, come on. The only time Jeff Horn was holding was towards the end when he was tired, and Manny Pacquiao was only he started changing his style after the first headbutt. He doesn't like to see his blood. You can go back into history and watch Manny Pacquiao's fights. Every time he's been cut, his punch output diminishes. And that's another thing. People can look at those punch stats, and they don't show you which rounds. Oh, here, Manny Pacquiao landed 3 punches to 1. Well, which rounds? The ninth round, Jeff Horn didn't even land double-digit punches. Those punch stats are all subjective. Listen, just to put a fork in this, I think that as much as I can't stand excuses, I think Manny Pacquiao has a leg to stand on with suggesting that Bob Arum might have influenced the judges and the referee in this fight, Sal.
Well, I'll tell you, you're definitely welcome to your own opinion there. Bill, I can't agree with that. I don't see that. So you may be 100% right, but it's just I can't really go on board with that scenario. But you may be 100% right, Bill. Maybe 100% right.
You can't agree that you see that Bob is what you're saying is you don't think that Bob
I think Bob Arum benefits no matter what side. It's just which one will he maximize his being awarded the ability to continue Manny Pacquiao's dominance, and there's not really that dominance factor there any longer. But to ride him like a horse that's going to be beaten, like I said, I could see either scenario, the one you just described being a money maker and a road to go down. But I also could have seen, if Manny won this fight, a money maker and another road to go down. There's different paths that would have had the outcome. And now we have too many variables facing Manny Pacquiao because we don't know what's in his heart of hearts. Is he going to do the rematch? Is he going to want to do something if he does beat Jeff Horn afterwards? Or is he just going to get beat again? In other words, there's too many variables in that diagram or that scenario where if he had won the fight, there's just a natural progression. He would have either went for Mayweather or he would go for Terrence Crawford. Now, the whole Mayweather thing is done. And I said all along on the show to you, and you know my stance, the only sole purpose I thought for Manny Pacquiao to ever get back in the ring again was to face and to fight and to beat Floyd Mayweather. And all these other fights, and since he's been back, it was part of the sidestepping or the smokescreen or the fluff without the stuff. If he had in his heart of hearts, and Manny Pacquiao truly believed in his heart of hearts that he was coming back, like he said, everybody, get the shoulder fixed, coming back to face Floyd Mayweather, that fight would have already happened.
Yeah, but no, Yeah, but we needed Floyd Mayweather to want the fight. See, this is my point, and I got some other stuff I want to talk about, but and we're gonna get Alex Papali to come on a little bit later, but the truth of the matter is my point about Bob Arum and the accusations that Bob Arum might have influenced the judges and the referee, or either or, does have a leg to stand on because of the financial gain that Bob Arum, forget Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao makes his money anyway. Bob Arum, it's like if you're in a corporation and you're looking at a job and you're seeing what the cost of that job is going to cost you over a period of 25 years, and what's happening in corporate America today, they can replace that job. Years ago, the same guy was in that job for 25 years. Now they want to replace that position, 3 to 5 years with new blood, and they keep the salary down. They keep the long-term expenses down. So at the end of 25 years, they that position costs less than having the same guy in it for 25 years. Well, promoters, they look at the business side, and Manny Pacquiao is a cash cow for Bob Arum. And, it makes sense that by having, listen, Manny Pacquiao had the power to put everything to rest if he stops and knocks out Jeff Horn. There's no way that there could have been any influence to change the outcome. The only way is if the fight went the distance, and that's what happened. And I'm just saying, that the facts are the facts, that Bob Arum is in a position right now to make more money from the fact that Manny Pacquiao lost than he would have been in if Manny Pacquiao won. That's all I'm saying. Now, Manny could throw a wrench in Bob Arum's rolling of the dice here and say, I'm done. I don't want to fight anymore. And then that's the end of that. But I just, it's pretty obvious to me, Sal, that Bob Arum is in a better financial position now with Manny Pacquiao by him losing. Because Manny Pacquiao's personality is he doesn't want to walk away with his career ending like that. If he was dominated and beat up and knocked down, and then you can accept it. You could say, hey, I lost it. But in Manny Pacquiao's mind and many, many other people's minds, Manny Pacquiao won the fight, including myself. I felt that Manny won the fight. So, how can he go to bed at night thinking he was robbed? The first thing he's going to want to do is prove that he was robbed, and he's going to want to fight the guy. I think Bob Arum knows this, and he's saying, all right, now I'm getting a rematch with Horn, and then we're going to take it another fight further. Again, assuming that he knows Manny's personality. That's all I'm saying. No,
and Bill, like I said, I could see your scenario come to fruition, and I could believe the scenario could be what was intended on that note. However, like I said, in my opinion, I just can't go along that path or jump on board with it being from the get-go the ideal scenario, because you, me, probably Bob Arum, and maybe even Jeff Horn. I mean, I didn't think we would see the 8th round of this fight. I was betting under and over because I thought Manny Pacquiao would stop and knock out Jeff Horn. And it didn't happen. It didn't materialize. But I'm sure in my heart of hearts that a lot of these other Pacquiao people on his side thought the same thing. And so it's hard to bank that whole scenario that you described on the fact that the fight was going to come down to a close decision. It's possible, and like I said, you make a good point. I just don't know. And, I think back to my good old mentor, Chicky Ferrara. Yes, fighters are a commodity. They are a moneymaker for a promoter. They are just what a commodity is supposed to do, a prized possession that could be utilized and maximized and worthy of being one in a position to make more money.
Who's the guy that said, hey, Jeff Horn, win, lose, or draw, is going to be a superstar after this fight? Who said that?
You did, Billy.
I didn't say that.
I was going to say Jack Dempsey.
No,
Dempsey.
Bob Arum said it.
Oh,
and the truth
well,
of the matter, the truth of the matter is, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Bob Arum is a guy that thought that Manny was going to lose the fight, but I'm saying that Bob Arum put in an insurance policy in place and said, hey, if this fight goes the distance, this is what could happen. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that it's possible. But anyway,
Bill, that's why there's the rematch clause. It's true.
Any fighter that has a world title that fights a fight without a rematch clause is an idiot. All right, so I mean, come on. So that's like a gimme. If you're a world title holder and you step in the ring with, I don't care if you're stepping in the ring with Daisy from Donald Duck, Daisy Duck or whatever she's called. The bottom line is if you don't have a rematch clause in there, you're stupid. But anyway, just to change the subject for a second, I want to mention. Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev, some of the numbers, the official numbers have been released. And first and foremost, it does not surprise me that this fight did not do well at the gate or at the pay-per-view numbers. First and foremost, Andre Ward, whether you like him or not, can't draw flies to a garbage convention. This guy, he tries to demand and act like he's Floyd Mayweather when he's negotiating, and he's not. Whether you like Floyd or not, there's a huge difference between Floyd and Andre. And the difference is Floyd draws people. They buy tickets to see Floyd. People buy pay-per-views to see Floyd. Now, they may be buying it to see him get his ass kicked, but they still buy it. The difference with Andre Ward is nobody buys anything. Nobody wants to see him. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody wants to buy anything to do with Andre Ward. And the numbers prove it right here. Because according to the gate, and this was the taxed gate, they had $2,187,340, which was way less than the first fight. The fight that took place this last time, they only sold 6,366 tickets. Now, the Rock Nation claimed that there was almost 11,000 people there. And Nevada State Athletic Commission said, no. There was 6,366 paid, and then there was another 2,113 comp tickets given out. So that means that Rock Nation was handing out tickets, begging people to come in to see their guy, Andre Ward. And how did the pay-per-view do? How about piss poor? How about 165,000 was for the first fight? And after that, how it's billed as the rematch and everything else, you would think it would do at least that much, right? Wrong. Yeah. 135,000 buys is all the rematch could get. And listen, even the replay on HBO the week later did not hit 1 million. So hey, anybody that thinks that Andre Ward is this big draw and everything else is sadly mistaken, because they're certainly not. And the same can be said about Sergey Kovalev, because where was his fans? What do you want, Sal? I see you raising your hand. What?
Yeah, you can see me. All right, listen. I was going to say, didn't Sergey Kovalev have some part of his purse predicated on a percentage of the pay-per-view buys?
Hey, yeah. So he made about $1.50 for that fight, So, yeah. Wow. Well, hey, listen, again, we look at both these fights, Sal. We've been talking a lot about the Pacquiao-Horn fight, and of course we talked a lot about the Sergey Kovalev rematch with Andre Ward. At the end of the day, as far as the Andre Ward-Sergey Kovalev fight, Kovalev is at fault. He did not do anything.
He is. No, he that was a different Kovalev.
He didn't do anything.
He was looking for a way out. Hey, I'm over it.
He didn't do anything that he said he was going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. He didn't do none of that. No. All right. And as far as Manny Pacquiao is concerned, like I said, it was a close fight. I scored it for Manny Pacquiao. I felt Manny Pacquiao won the fight, but a 115-113 score is which I had it is not a robbery. It's not a robbery. Jeff Horn deserves credit. Now, I do agree with one thing Teddy Atlas said, and that is you shouldn't be awarded a round because you're trying hard and looking better and performing better than people thought you were. I do agree with that. But this fight was in no way, shape, or form a robbery. It was not a robbery. Manny Pacquiao, people, when you reach a certain plateau as a superstar, like Manny Pacquiao is, people aren't going to bow down to you and lose. I say this about Floyd Mayweather all the time. You disagree with me, Sal. But the truth of the matter is is that when you win the sweepstakes, because that's what it is. It's like hitting a lottery when Floyd says, yeah, I think I'm going to fight this guy. He picks the easiest opponent he can find, just like Conor McGregor. And then Conor McGregor, in Conor McGregor's case, also in Manny Pacquiao's case, and Andre Berto, and all the other slugs that Mayweather has fought recently, they make so much money that it's like life-changing money, life-changing for them, for their grandkids, their great-grandkids, the generations to come. I mean, that's the fact. Unless they piss it away, that's the fact. And human nature, just like we said, the judges are influenced by the crowd. I believe, and I know you disagree with me, Sal, but I believe that, people have a hard time beating the snot out of somebody that just changed their life. If Floyd Mayweather, who I am not a fan of, sent me a check for $1 million, I would have a hard time talking crap about the guy. I really would, and I would be lying if I said different. I know you disagree with me, Sal.
I do disagree. You know why? Because I had a chance to fight for $100 million or $10 million or even $1 million. I'd go out and try and beat Floyd Mayweather's pants off. I wouldn't care. And I would thank him. Thanks for the opportunity. Hey, this is great. It's a world opportunity. But guess what? When I get in that ring, I'm not thinking about money. I'm thinking about going through you like a locomotive.
Well,
like
listen.
A locomotive.
Well, yeah.
That's just. Hey,
you would be like the little train that could.
Huh?
You'd be saying, "I think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
I think I can."
Yeah, No, but
but the bottom line is, you know what? And now we go through a whole nother scenario. I never really put dollars. My passion was just to win and just to fight. And that's probably my mistake. I should have looked at it more from a business standpoint. That's for another show, another day.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, even though I'm always critical of the corner, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we, and then the fighter loses, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. As much as I say that all the time, at the end of the day, really, as much as the teams want to be we, and fighters say we camp, we worked really hard, and the thing is, well, how many miles did the trainer, how many rounds did the trainer spar? How many sacrifices did the trainer make? In Sergey Kovalev's case against Andre Ward, it was totally him. I mean, this is a guy that didn't do what he said he was going to do, and in Manny Pacquiao's case, he took his foot off the gas. And, whether he had enough gas in the tank to begin with, that still remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, Sal, I believe, and as much as I hate excuses, that. We talk about that all the time. I can't stand when a fighter makes excuses. But here, I can't stand it. I believe that fighters need to give their opponents credit when they lose. End of story, But in this case, but here it comes. Here comes that but.
That's what
I know. But in this case, and not that I just think that Bob Arum has a lot to gain by Manny Pacquiao losing the Horn fight. I just think he's got a lot of gain in terms of finances. And don't get me wrong, so does Horn and Pacquiao. But I just think that at the end of the day, Bob Arum is a businessman. His business is promoting. And his two big fighters, his big names right now. Manny Pacquiao's still at the top. And then you can make an argument for the next guys in line. But mean, it comes down to money, Sal. I mean, it really does. And I think that as much as Manny Pacquiao said all the way home. Back to the Philippines, I kind of agree with him in between tears.
Possibly. It's so funny, Bill, and I was going to raise my hand, but thank you. No. Here's the scenario, too, with fight fans, and believe me, I want to just throw something out there. We know you've heard about the trickle-down effect. You've heard about diminishing skills. A lot of times, fans will often just remember a fighter, how he was or how he seemed to fight during his peak years. And that's the same fighter that we expect to see when they go in the ring of battle. Scenario was, even the Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao fight was 5 years too late from the making. It was 5 years that they discussed first getting into the ring. And so you would expect to see the fighters, what you remember. Like I always say, a fighter's only as good as the last fight, but they also, that's the impression that is left in a fight fan's memory. When I saw Muhammad Ali get a beating by Larry Holmes, I was in tears because I expected to see the Muhammad Ali that could do it all and has done it all. We hold true to what we want to manifest in our minds of our heroes, our fighters in their prime, in their peak, still capable of doing what impressed and awed us early on. And that's what I think a lot of fight fans for Manny Pacquiao.
That's the battle cry because I don't mean to put it on, what that's actually telling us is I gotta take a break, Sal. I'm past my time. But hey, listen, hold that thought. And actually, you know what? Take a break because Alex is going to come on for about 15 minutes. So rather than have you both on, take a break, and I'll get back to you as soon as we kick Alex to the curb. All right?
Do me one favor. Tell Alex to run a scenario with his computer with Horn and Pacquiao. See how many times they fight each other and who wins out of 100 times. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right. We will get back to Sal in a minute. We'll have Alex on in a second, but right now, you know what it's time for.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even crystal clear. Free idea.
We combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. And speaking about being with us, no, it's not Wednesday, and no, it's not the blast from the past. But joining us right now is my man Alex Perpali. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
Not too bad. I know yesterday we could have went on and on and on about the Cinderella Man, but I wanted to get your thoughts on the Manny Pacquiao-Jeff Horn fight. It's a fight that, I honestly, Friday of last week, if you said, hey, by Thursday of next week, do you think you'll still be talking about Pacquiao Horn? I would have been no. I would have thought that it would have been over and that Manny would have won the fight, and there really wouldn't have been much discussion. But it's been a topic of discussion since the fight. Some people have used the word robbery. I personally had the fight scored in favor of Manny Pacquiao, but I had it a close fight, 115-113. But a 115-113 score to me indicates, and as well as anyone with the subjectivity involved in the sport, a close fight, 115-113, could go either way. Now we have accusations of Arum possibly influencing the judges and referees. Bob Arum had a lot to gain by rolling the dice with that. What's your thoughts on the whole situation here, my man?
I think it was a close fight that was a very unfortunately broadcast in an extremely one-sided manner. And I think that unfortunately, as happens today, strongly colored popular opinion about what we saw. This is rough for me because boxing is really the joy in my life. I'm somebody, as you know, who enjoys following, politics in this country. I'm a liberal. I'm on the left. However, that position is not really represented in American politics. So I find myself disagreeing with both sides quite often, and it's a highly partisan pool, and it's just very annoying because or at least you're used to it because everybody's got an opinion and it's highly partisan and extremely politically charged. It's sad for me when that comes to boxing. And I think that happens more and more. Now, granted, some of it I don't mind because, for example, like controversy being associated with our sport, I think that's fine. But I think that some of this, nowadays, people don't see nuance. They don't get complexity. They just get behind their keyboard and want to bash someone. And unfortunately, ESPN really fed into that by having three big mouths who were completely partisan in the way they covered the fight. In Stephen A. Smith, Teddy Atlas especially, and then later I guess Dan Raphael came on too, and he claimed it was a robbery. It was a 7-5 fight in my mind. Whether you had it for Horn or whether you had it for Pacquiao, that's you. I had it 115-114. Well, the first time I watched it, I had it 115-113 for Horn. Second time I watched it, I had it 115-114 for Pacquiao. There's one round that I scored even, the eighth, because very little happened for either guy. If you give that to Pacquiao, it's a 7-5 fight. If you give it to Horn, it's a draw. So that's a close fight. Really, nobody should be stomping their feet up and down that it's a robbery. And yet that is the way it is portrayed on ESPN. And I think that is doing fans an incredible disservice. What Teddy Atlas said to Horn's face was just plain rude, where he said to him in the post-fight interview, he said to him, I don't think you won. And he gives him all this conditional comments about how he didn't think he won. And then he talks about the fight. Well, when you are so stuck on the idea that it's a robbery, you don't see what did happen there. And sometimes, a lot of times in boxing, there's multiple things happen at the same time. You could watch that fight and say, one, it's a close fight. Manny looked worse than he's ever looked, older than he's ever looked, and Horn fought an inspired fight. Those three things could be true, even if you do think the decision was bad. And yet you don't get that kind of rationality from anyone on the ESPN broadcast. And it's really a shame because when you see the numbers it did, which are tremendous, and you think, wow, what a great night for our sport. However, you get how many people walked away with this extremely polarized thinking, like they're right and everybody else is wrong. Their perspective is the only thing that was seen. I think that's unfortunate. I think that it's a close fight. Does it bear a rematch? Sure. I mean, I'm sure it's possible in Australia that it's extremely popular. Look at the crowd. It was huge. I think the thing I posted in the chat room that I'm most upset about is with myself. I really went along with the idea that this was going to be a blowout. And that's the second time in recent memory where in a high-profile fight, I didn't give the opponent a chance. And the other one was Golovkin versus Danny Jacobs.
Right. No, I share that because, I didn't. None of us really gave Jeff Horn much of a chance, and it always seems when you never give a team a chance or a fighter a chance, that's when the upsets happen. But I also agree wholeheartedly about Teddy Atlas, and Teddy Atlas has been, and Stephen A. Smith had no business even being involved in the broadcast. He doesn't know a left hook from a fish hook. This is a man that knows nothing about the sport of boxing except the fact that he's buddies with Floyd Mayweather. That's it. That's his connection with boxing. And it's a shame that ESPN felt that they had to go back to him in the studio. As far as Dan Rafael, I've said about Dan Rafael from day one, this guy's a writer. But he's not a boxing guy. A lot of people think this guy knows the sport of boxing. He doesn't. And I challenge anyone to pull up one of his reports on any fight, pick any one, and show me any technical writing that he is explaining something about the sport other than the factual part. He won this round by this score, et cetera, which is good. But the guy doesn't really know the sport. He really doesn't. But anyway, that's besides the point. But back to Teddy. That's why I'm dismissing Dan Rafael and Stephen A. Smith. Teddy does know the sport. He's an important part of the sport. But the problem with Teddy Atlas is it's Teddy's way or no way. I always think I'm right too. But if you hand me a decision or an explanation of why I'm wrong, I'm open to listening to it. And I'm also open to changing my opinion if you can hand it to me in a controlled, educated manner. Teddy is not. If you don't agree with Teddy, you're wrong. If you're a judge, and I've said this many times, Teddy Atlas should not be given a scorecard and a pencil. He should be given a crayon and a coloring book because he doesn't know how to score a fight. He scores fights based on Teddy's scoring system, not on anybody else's. So, right off the bat, he shouldn't be scoring fights. But they let him score it. So when he comes up with an outrageous score, everybody else, including the judges that are being paid to score the fight, are wrong. And now it's a robbery. And 4.4 million people watched that fight on ESPN, and 4.4 million people had to listen to Teddy Atlas and Stephen A. Smith, say how much of a robbery it was. And you know what, Alex? You know more than anyone that when you watch a fight without the commentators influencing what you're seeing, and it's human nature. If you're hearing somebody telling you that somebody's dominating a round and you're scoring a card, all of a sudden your scorecard gives that round to that person. But when you watch it without sound and it's just you scoring the fight, it always is different than what they say, at least most of the time. We all learned that together when we did the Ray Leonard Marvin Hagler fight. But Teddy Atlas did no service to the sport of boxing with his outrageous comments. And although I appreciate him speaking his mind, I agree with you that his post-fight with Jeff Horn was very disrespectful. All you have to say is, hey, congratulations on the win. I personally didn't have you winning, but congratulations. He didn't even say that. He came right off the bat, you lost. I think the best thing he did for that night was making sure Timothy Bradley knew he was in Australia and not Argentina.
Yeah, and it's the thing that's funny is that of that broadcast, Tim Bradley was the best one. He had the the mistake where he said he referred to Ancajas as the Japans, and he wasn't sure whether it was in Australia or Argentina. But in terms of his other commentary, I thought he was one of the best ones there. I mean, Tessitore and Atlas, I don't mind, but I mean, they're very repetitive. Tessitore is basically a cheerleader for Teddy. And the thing, you're absolutely right, in terms of scoring, HBO is doing fans a disservice by letting Teddy score and making it seem like Teddy's cards are the only view.
ESPN, not HBO.
Oh, I'm sorry, ESPN, yeah. Because when the thing about it is that it's you got to focus. If you're going to score, it's hard to also do other things. That's why everybody should always take, if somebody's, you're getting a writer's take from ringside, and the writer is scoring the fight, well, that guy might also be taking notes. So sometimes his card, you should think about that. Well, a guy who's doing commentary is doing a lot of other things, thinking about other things. He's got people talking in his ear, and he's scoring the fight. You think his scorecard's right? And not only right, but it's gospel truth, the way ESPN makes it seem. That's the thing that's unfortunate. That fight, to me, if you had it more like an 8-4, a 9-3 fight, yeah, I think that's where I would disagree with, because it didn't look like that. To me, and I did watch it twice. I watched it once. I saw all the controversy the HBO was, oh boy, here I go again, that ESPN was generating with it. And I just was like, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, or 2 o'clock in the morning, when I was like, I'm watching it again right now. I had drank a lot of coffee. So I watched it again right there. And and my card didn't, differ dramatically. It was only off by about 2 points. I mean, it's the thing that's, I think, the big story. There's two big stories. One, kudos to Jeff Horn. Really a gritty effort. He surprised everybody. He really was very clever in the way he was fighting early, because he was that sort of herky-jerky, hesitating and feinting on the outside. He gave Manny Pacquiao some difficulty in just being able to find him and catch him. The other thing he did is he fought a very rough, sort of grinding type of fight. Some of it was a little borderline. A lot of his punches weren't landing clean. They were sort of brushing, but they were effective in that, and controlling him and shaping some of the rounds. To me, and I mentioned this in a piece I wrote, is that he looked like a welterweight version of John Ruiz, in that he was, doing some boxing things right, but he was also just putting up this physical effort against Pacquiao, which is effective, because I think that was the other thing we saw at this weight, and at this age of his career. The size matters quite a bit in a Pacquiao fight. When he was younger, in the Margarito fights, stuff like that. Now, granted, Margarito's like a big Frankenstein, but the thing that was amazing about Pacquiao was he was able to dominate bigger guys with punch volume, punches from all angles, and just the stunning, speedy effect of those shots. He can't throw punches like that. The volume of punches he throws, it's just not as much. And it doesn't seem like they have as much on them to really stun these bigger guys and keep them off. So size became such a much bigger issue in this fight than it has in previous Pacquiao fights. He was fighting a larger man, and there was a lot of times where Horn was able to drive him right back to the ropes pretty easily.
You're right. And I said that if Manny had won this fight and chose to continue his career, he had to consider going back down to 140, because it was easier for him to just step in and make 147 without a problem, not even worrying about it. But come fight night, it was apparent how much smaller he was, and you're 100% right. I mean, he lost his speed. the angles and speed and foot movement that destroyed his opponents in the past. People that don't know say, oh, he's got this punching power, but really it was the punches that he didn't see. And quite honestly, Freddie Roach didn't give him any instruction, whether he listens to Freddie or not. Didn't give him any instruction. In my opinion, Manny Pacquiao needed to stay in the center of that ring and try and circle around and use what's left of his hand speed and movement to win the fight. Every time he got against the ropes, that was Jeff, whether he was landing flush or not, that was Jeff Horn's fight, to bully him and lean on him and just,
Absolutely.
snuff him out. And Manny kept letting him do it, it was a close fight. But hey.
And I think that's the thing about it that would have been. Wouldn't it be just great to have heard that at some point, Bill? If Tessitore and Atlas pointed out, boy, some of these rounds are close. Manny needs to pick up the pace. I mean, just a few little lines like that points out that, hey, something that we're not telling you might also be happening here.
Well, it makes you.
They just want to get outraged.
It makes you question what they're watching. And then it actually questions what you're watching. You start saying to yourself, "Am I right? Am I seeing the same fight Teddy is?" And then knowing Teddy Atlas and knowing his ego, it ruined the broadcast. One quick question, and then we got to split. But do you think that there's any credence in what Manny is saying now of what I went off too much. I spent too much on today's show, but do you think Bob Arum has something to benefit by putting in some extra coin or whatever he could have done to make this fight, should it go the distance, fall into Jeff Horn's hands?
Well, I mean, a promoter wins no matter what, usually. So I don't really fault him in that sense. I think the controversy and the idea that there's a rematch is only good for Bob Arum because, what is it to them? They go to Australia again, they fill another 52,000-seat arena, they make some money. Maybe they do it pay-per-view again in Australia. People wondered that same thing after the Bradley decision that was so peculiar. I don't know. I mean, I think Bob Arum knows that he has a fighter whose options are limited, and I think he does seem to care about Manny Pacquiao because to some degree he's sort of protecting him, I guess, in the sense that we didn't see the Terrence Crawford fight. We haven't seen him fight, one of the more dangerous welterweights. Those fights, to me, I would have rather seen Manny Pacquiao versus Terrence Crawford maybe 6 months to a year ago at 140 and then hang it up. Because I think Terrence Crawford, especially after what we saw Saturday night, Terrence Crawford beats him. I think Errol Spence really hurts him. So I do think in terms of Arum, his options are extremely limited with Manny now. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's necessarily upset with the idea that there could be a Jeff Horn rematch. And if I'm Manny Pacquiao, I would seriously think about it because what is there to gain, really? He is an all-time great. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nothing takes that away. What he did at featherweight and 130 and 135 alone is tremendous. It makes him one of the greatest fighters of the generation. So the idea that he needs a Jeff Horn rematch to sort of erase some spot on his career, no, that's silly.
Yeah, well, my point is that Manny could have won the fight against Horn and then walk away, rather than take the Crawford fight. By him losing, knowing his personality, Bob Arum says, well, at least I'm going to be involved with the rematch and then probably another fight. So that's why I think there's some substance with the theory that Bob Arum might have influenced judges or whatever. But, hey, the bottom line, I agree. It was a close fight, unfortunately. For Manny, it came out on the other end. And like you said, kudos to Jeff Horn, because he's the guy that deserves the credit. And just like Timothy Bradley, he's the one facing a firing squad of the fans because of the judges. He doesn't score a fight.
Exactly. And I think that one thing that I think may have happened that was similar in the Bradley fight is hyper focus. The judges hyper focused. Much more in the Bradley fight, because in that first Bradley fight, the arena was packed with Filipino fans, so the judges were probably trying to focus and not let the crowd sway them. In this situation, you had 52,000 screaming Australians who might have swayed the judges. We see that happens a lot in hometowns. That's the thing about this sport, Bill, and it's one reason to love it, because you can talk about these things forever, and that, I don't know, controversy is not necessarily a bad thing. When there's not a knockout, boxing is just like figure skating, and it's a subjective sport, and it comes down to your perspective and your ability to express what it is you saw. And I think that, in this case, what we saw was a close fight.
Yeah, no, it's there's no doubt. And, I believe that if Teddy Atlas wasn't so adamant and screaming and spitting all over the place that it was a robbery, that maybe more fans would have seen it the same way. I think that we're kind of ruining the fight, and we're taking credit away from Jeff Horn for like Sal always says, stepping up his level, and I think people are failing to see, especially people that have been critical to me, they're failing to see that Manny Pacquiao is definitely aging. And he's not the same fighter, and I'm not suggesting I don't think he's an all-time great. I said, and I gave all my reasons why, at the end of the day, even if he loses again, I'm still going to have him, higher ranked on my all-time great list than Floyd. And the reason is because of the challenges that he's faced and the fights, the entertainment value, what he's brought to the sport of boxing justifies it, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I mean, I think I don't think that Pacquiao has any chance with a Mayweather rematch, and I don't want to see it. However, you're absolutely right. The trio, in my mind, of Barrera, Marquez, and Morales alone, and all those series of fights sets Pacquiao above Mayweather in terms of all-time great status. There's no arguing that in my mind. I think his run at featherweight is incredible, and I think that I don't know. I mean, when you think about what boxing fans talk about most of all for all time, and I didn't go to Canastota this year, but I saw people talking about it, is one of the fights people still talk about all the time is Meldrick Taylor versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. That fight had everything. It was a thrilling fight, and then it had controversy at the end. It had a villain in Richard Steele, depending on who what your opinion was, or he could be a hero. And I think that's the thing that's not necessarily a bad thing for our sport. You got that with the Ward Kovalev fight. You had a definitive fight, then you had a quick stoppage, and you had a controversy, so you had lots to talk about. I don't know. To me, that's why I love boxing. Boxing is rich. Boxing is like real life. It's not fair. And, it's conditional. It's subjective.
Well, that's the key. And, again, ESPN, I'm very glad that they're picking up this fight, and they have two other big fights coming our way. I'm happy about it. Unfortunately, it's time to maybe find someone other than Teddy Atlas. He's ruining their good thing. And as far as Joe Tessitore, just to end it on this, he is the play-by-play guy. He's, I do agree that he kisses Teddy's arse a little too much. but he does keep things on an even playing field, which is hard to do, especially when you got a guy like Teddy Atlas spitting all over you. So I give Joe Tessitore some credit, but going to Stephen A. Smith, that was ridiculous. I hope that the bigwigs at ESPN all recognize that, and that's just their way of self-promoting their own people. But
well, and the other thing that was interesting was that Nigel Collins, who is another ESPN writer, his perspective on Twitter and his article since, he covered it as a close fight. So it would have been nice if ESPN had added him to the broadcast. It would have given it some balance.
Yeah, no doubt. Alex, I appreciate your time, and I'll be looking forward to you next week when we do the blast.
All right, Billy C., take care.
All right, brother. That's Alex Papali. You can catch him on Wednesdays normally doing our blast from the past. So we appreciate Alex taking some time and giving us his thoughts on that. But listen, speaking of time, I got to take a break. When I come back, I'll have my man, Sal Rocky Senecola, back with me, and we'll finish up today's show. So we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. And speaking about being with us, he's back. Sal Rocky Senecola is with us. But anyway, Sal, I just want to say, on today's show, we did not get a chance to read several emails. So my man Dan and my man Angel and Jesse, we'll read them on tomorrow's show, I promise. We have a bunch of other boxing news to talk about as well tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. But Sal, I just want to, Alex made some great points, and
it's a great point.
It's the same. Point. It seems to be the same thing. In the sport today, too often are the commentators and the so-called experts kind of laying the groundwork for what the viewer or listener is about to see, and they kind of sway their opinions, and the end result is we end up with an uneducated fan base. I'll give you an example. My book, right? I noticed I was some people were talking to me about the book the other day, and I actually sold them a copy, and they bring it up right in front of me on Amazon, and they're going, "Oh, you got all these great reviews," and there's this one bad review, and I'm like, "What? A bad review?" And I read it, and some guy blasts me. He's saying that. Basically, I'm not, all the I's and T's weren't crossed, and I write a book. He says, you read a book about somebody you expect to learn about their whole life and this and that. And I'm saying to myself, what an ignorant a-hole. The truth of the matter is, number one, I didn't write the book to win any literary awards. I didn't write it to do anything other than educate people about the guy. And as far as filling in the blanks about how his childhood was on the plantation as he was getting his ass beat because he was a slave, there was no information about it. So I didn't want to take and make it up. I wanted to present the book in here's the facts that we know about, and present it. And I was criticized for that. And, it's almost the same thing as what we see today, Sal, with these commentators. If you're not seeing it through their eyes, you're wrong. And, a lot of the viewers are saying, well, like what I'm always being critical of Floyd. When I ask people, well, why do you think Floyd's the greatest fighter of all time? Because he's never lost. Well, he also hasn't fought as many fights. Well, he made all this money. Well, how do you put a guy who's, kind of maneuvered his career to where he is today with wins and no losses and made the most money? How does that put a guy at the greatest of all time? It doesn't make any sense, but to them, it's as much truth as anything. So, it's opinion. So I'm not going to knock somebody for their opinion, but you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I agree. And believe me, I look at our reviews online every day, and it's amazing. We can get 99 beautiful 5-star rating reviews and praises, and then there's one review that comes in less than 5 stars and a little sour on this and that. It just befuddles me. How some things do occur, and I definitely follow you. I definitely do. It's interesting.
Well, it's a shame because especially in the Pacquiao Horn fight, yes, we need to give Jeff Horn credit for fighting and making us all look stupid, by lasting and winning the fight. But even that's blemished. And like I said to Alex, now here's a guy that should be getting the accolades for winning a close fight. And instead, he's being blamed for the judges' scorecards, And if you're Teddy Atlas, you're a judge, and you're listening to Teddy, you robbed a fighter. Now, granted, I still believe that there's some substance behind what I suggested earlier with Bob Arum. He does have a lot to gain by having Manny lose a close fight. But Manny could have, ruined that by just winning and dominating. But once again, you can't win a fight when you take your foot off the gas, Sal.
No, and I believe, like I said, Bill, I agree with you on 99% of issues, but this one I have to stay away from. And I think Bob Arum, like a good promoter, will benefit no matter what scenario because he's already calculating the outcome of both sides.
Yeah, but anyway, wait. You see, that's where my point is.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the extra fight if Manny wins.
But those are the variables and the intangibles that we don't even know if those extra fights will ever occur for so many reasons that are 6 months to a year away. And But I'm going to tell you something, too. I watched this fight more than once, more than twice. And, I watched it live, how it happened, and scored it. And, that I told you I also, because it was a very pro Pacquiao board that were viewing that fight from ESPN. And I shut the volume off and I watched it again. And I didn't score. I just sat back and looked at the fight and enjoyed the fight. Didn't score it, didn't look at it. I just was a fan looking at it. And I'm going to tell you something. As a fan looking at a fight without putting pen to paper and judging or anything else, I saw that fight and I thought Jeff Horn won that fight. And that's how I looked at it. And then I did it again when I broke it down minute by minute and do the 2 out of 3 minutes of each round. And that's when I had Pacquiao winning by 1 point. But when I watched that fight without the influence, without the sound of the panel, and just watch it for pure entertainment and enjoyment, I gave Jeff Horn that fight.
Yeah, it's easy to see that. But, hey, listen, don't forget, we're going to be back here tomorrow. I got some emails to read. We got some boxing news to talk about. We may even open up the phone lines tomorrow and hopefully get your thoughts. Don't forget, if you take the time to drop me an email at billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com, I'll take the time to read it, even though we didn't have time to read the ones today. But we will read them tomorrow. I promise. So for everyone that has an email that has not been read, it will be read tomorrow. But, hey, listen, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.